Hello everyone, welcome to the match preview of Scotland against Switzerland, match day 2 for the Scots and the Swiss. However, I am not hosting this video. I can't ask myself questions. Well, I could, I suppose, but I thought it would be a bit strange. So I'm going to hand this one over to Frankie. Frankie, the floor is yours, the show is yours. Take it away, my friend.
Geo, you got me excited, mate. I was ready and raring to cheer on Scotland for the first time. Normally, I would be the typical England against Scotland and having a bit of a laugh and a joke about it. My boy got a Scotland shirt off the business partner and he was dressed in his Scotland shirt. He was jumping around the living room. We all had belief. And I even said to you before the game that I thought it was at least a draw that you would get. I might have fallen a little bit into the trap of you saying how you're all sort of work together and you're also committed for the cause, and there's just such a vibrant sort of Scotland team for a change. So I was right up for it. What went wrong?
Everything. I think the tactics were wrong. I think the attitude was wrong, and the players were very poor. And usually when you lose, sometimes you can take some positives out of it. I think some of the countries so far that have been beaten can come away with something to work on going into the next game. But for us, there was absolutely nothing. There was two things I didn't want to see before the game. That was, I didn't want us to wave the white flag, and I didn't want us to get smashed because of the goal difference for third place teams. And we got both of those things. So it was an absolute disaster. I think Clarke got the lineup starting 11 wrong. I say starting 11. I think he got 2 or 3 players wrong at the starting 11. Most of the players picked themselves. And then where he had to make a decision, I think he made the wrong one in pretty much every single place. So it was very disappointing. And I think the most disappointing thing actually was just the poor attitude from the players. Usually there's a little bit of William Wallace Braveheart style about us, but there was none of that on Friday night actually. And I guess the one positive is it can only get better. It surely can't be that bad again. Germany were fantastic, but I think we made them look like they were worthy winners of the Euros already.
Well, there was a glimpse of that Braveheart spirit, and actually it kind of came in for a bit of criticism, didn't it? It was, why are you sort of celebrating a tackle, and why are you getting so buoyed in that first 10 minutes of a game? You haven't really achieved anything yet. But I don't know, even the people that I was watching the game with, because I basically briefed them on how spirited Scotland are as a team now, and that they're getting some really good results. And we saw that, and they was like, "Oh, I just see that was almost the reflection of that in the game." They was like, "Well, they are up for it. They are ready and raring to go." So, how did that sort of sit with you? Was that good to see, or was that a little bit the wrong type of mentality?
I look back at it with a little bit of a joke that we're celebrating a goal kick in the 3rd minute, but it doesn't bother me to some extent. I think sometimes if that happens when you're at home, it gets the crowd up for it sometimes. The crowd will react to the players reacting. And I think it can sometimes give the fans, even if it's just in the corner of that game, they'll get up and cheer and clap. And I think that can then travel throughout the team and just give them a little bit of a boost. Not that we should need it after 3 minutes, but it was the only bit that we saw that. I think maybe there's some players in our team that are used to the big occasion, and Tierney would be one of them because he's played Champions League football before, even at Celtic. But some of them haven't played in the top division in England yet. We've got some championship players in that squad as well. So I don't know if maybe the mentality and the experience played a part in some of them compared to the rest of their counterparts. But I don't mind it, to truth be told, Frank. If it was the 89th minute and we're winning, I'm loving that, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm fist pumping the air and stuff, because we did it when we played Spain at home at Hampden and beat them. We had that for 90 minutes, that sort of attitude, and it really riled Spain up, and they lost their heads in the end of it. They couldn't cope with that sort of attitude from us. So I think there's a time and a place for it, and I'm not sure the 3rd minute is the right occasion.
No, maybe not. The game has gone a bit soft. We saw Jude do it a little bit last night, where he sort of body checked Kostic, and Alan Shearer was giving it all how silly that was. But at that time in the England game, we'd gone a bit flat, and actually it needed a bit of spark. I think where it doesn't look good is when you sort of do it, but it's a sole person doing it, and the rest
Yeah.
of the team are kind of not behind it. It looks a bit silly. I mean, the fans before the game were incredible for Scotland. They were rocking that stadium, bouncing up and down, and it actually almost felt like you were the home team. And even my
Yeah.
boy who was watching it, he said, Scotland at home. That was his impression, because you was making so much noise. For those the sort of lesser players who maybe not as experienced, did the occasion get to them a little bit, or do you purely put it down to the manager's decisions as to why this
A
went
bit
so
of both.
badly?
I don't think playing the first game in the Euros helps you. There's a lot of pressure. The world is watching you, and you're very aware the world is tuning into the opener of the Euros because today we're recording this on Monday at 2 o'clock. We've got Ukraine playing Romania. I'd imagine the viewing figures would be quite low compared to the Scotland Germany game. So I think maybe it was a little bit of everything. Lack of experience, tactics, but also player ability as well. I think some of our, like I said, Porteous who got sent off. It was a horrible challenge and stuff, but he isn't what I would consider good enough for the international level as such. And he's up against directly Wirtz, Musiala, and Kai Havertz and Gundogan as well. There's a golfing ability, and sometimes you can get away with that with your team spirit and the correct tactics, so on and so forth. But there was no hiding that on Friday night.
I think also we sort of all given our predictions around the Euros, and you've obviously sort of tipped Portugal was to go all the way and have a good tournament. I think a lot of us maybe overlooked Germany to some degree. Home nations always do well. The fact that they've got kind of players that are just starting to come of age in Musiala and so on, they've seen a bit of tournament football prior to this now, and now they're playing on home soil. It was perfect for them really to come in and really settle down and really show what they're all about. I think there was even comments saying that this was the worst Germany team in a very long time, and it looked far, far from that from my perspective. Have we all overlooked Germany a little bit, and did Scotland overlook Germany a little bit as well in how good they were going to be?
No, I think Scotland overlooked Scotland. I think we almost basically said we've got no chance, so let's try and play for 0-0, and it's the wrong thing to do. I think while I dismiss some players, I think we've got a little bit more quality than what Steve Clarke set the team up for there. In regards to Germany, I think when I did my little prediction thing, I had them going out in the quarterfinals, which I think is still fair. I think like seeing them up against a better opponent than Scotland. We were the worst country. We are the worst country so far in the Euros. It's just simple as that. The scoreline reflects it. What you saw reflected it as well. So they got the job done and comfortably too, so much so that the squad actually got a bit of a run out. Sane came on and got decent minutes. Fulkrug come on and got a goal. Was unlucky not to get 2 goals. So actually, almost like their bench actually got a bit of a boost after match day 1 as well, which isn't really the norm for a lot of countries. So Germany have certainly given themselves a bit of an advantage going into match day 2. But I'll wait and see how they perform against Hungary and Switzerland before deciding if I've underestimated them, I think, Frankie.
No, very fair comment. And obviously, you've named the 2 other teams in there. Ali McCoy sort of said that, in his opinion, you just need to win a game. That was what needed to happen. So we've had a little look at Switzerland and Hungary. What did you think of them? And can Scotland get that all-important win that they need?
Well, we need 4 points now. I think the goal difference, I think I was reading statistically when there's a competition where third place teams can go through, if you finish on 3 points with a -1 goal difference, there's a 70% probability you go through. If you have -2 goal difference, there's less than 30% probability that you go through. So the goal difference is significant, and we've got -4, so we ain't turning that round. So we now need 4 points from 2 games. I was really impressed by Switzerland in the first half against Hungary, and at the same time disappointed by Hungary. I felt they were a little bit of one of everybody's sort of dark horses that would get out of this group and maybe go on to get to the quarterfinals or something. I thought they had nothing about them, whereas Switzerland impressed me a lot, actually. I think they controlled the game from start to finish. And in the second half, Hungary got more into the game, but I think a lot of that was down to Switzerland protecting what they had. And while the tactics looked a bit dodgy at one point, it paid off because they went on and got the 3rd goal and finished the game off in the end. But there was a little bit of maybe nerves and anxiety for Switzerland, but I thought it was their own doing to some extent. So I was impressed by the Swiss. not so impressed by Hungary, but obviously as a Scotland fan, I was watching Hungary thinking, I'd fancy your chances against this version of them if they turn up. But I wish the fixtures were the other way around, Frankie. I wish we were playing Hungary, not Switzerland. Because then by the time you play Switzerland, maybe they've got something against Germany. They're already through. They might take the foot off the gas a little bit. But if we can get a draw against Switzerland, I don't want to play for a draw. I want to get the win. But if we can get a draw, it might set up a winner takes all against Hungary, assuming Germany beat them.
Yeah, that was kind of my impressions on it. I really don't rate Hungary at all. I never thought they were going to be a good side. I actually was surprised at the Serbian team last night with their lineup. On paper, they're a really good side. They've got some really good players in there. Hungary, I look at it and I just think, all right, Szoboszlai and so on. But other than that, nothing there was really that impressive to me. Switzerland seemed to have that bit of experience about them, to be honest. That Xhaka in the middle, he carried on where he'd left off in Europe this season. He just, for someone who was pretty much written off for Arsenal and career looking like it was going down the pan fast, to do what he's done and turn his career around as well as he has, and to become the player he has, he just seems so reliable and solid, which is not words that I would have associated him with when he was at Arsenal and things were falling apart around him. So it is, you're right. I think the other way round would have been better for you. I think you needed that Hungary game next just so you could find some confidence. If you could have gone and got a win in that game, then I would have said you had every chance of getting something out of the Switzerland game. The fact that you've got to go into the tougher of the two teams next is difficult. However, if you do it and you get a positive result, then I think you'll be in a really good place to go and get one over on Hungary. I think you beat them. I really do. So it'll be interesting to see how this is going to unfold. And I don't know. I'm sort of, I still, as much as I believed you could get a point against Germany, I really feel like you can get something out of the Switzerland game. I think it's there for you. But it needs a big turnaround. But Steve Clarke, normally, you've said his tactics haven't been great. That's normally one of his stronger points. He's normally a fantastic coach and he's normally really reliable on those sorts of things. So how are you with Steve Clarke? Is it something that you, because there has been this impression before that he's a better coach than he is a manager. Is he the right man to turn this around for you?
It's a little bit lack of options, really. Funnily enough, the guy that's now an option is David Moyes. Scottish manager, won a trophy, sitting there, has said he'd like to manage Scotland one day. Almost that feels like it would be the next appointment should we get rid of Steve Clarke. I'm okay with him. I think a lot of people love him. A lot of people have turned on him. I'm more positive. I'm maybe 7 out of 10 with him. I don't think he's the best manager in the world, but I as growing up, we were the whipping boys. We were never at any major tournament and stuff. I was just a small boy when we were at the World Cup in '98. So back-to-back Euro Championships is a lot of progress for us. And I do go into most games thinking we can win now. And, to the qualifiers, we won the first 5, beating Norway away, beating Spain at home. It's been fantastic. But at the same time, we do have good players now. It's not like we're playing with a lot of average players and trying to rustle something up. There is talent in this squad, and there's a few good youngsters not in this squad coming through as well. So I think my opinion on Clarke may depend on how we do in the remaining 2 games, actually. If we can get out of the group, then fantastic. But if we go home early like we did in the last Euro Championships, which was disappointing, then you are going to start thinking, is there somebody better? At the minute, I'm happy with him, but you almost do all this hard work and get all optimistic, and then you get there, then you just sort of bottle it. And I'm not too keen on that, really. The standards have risen because of Steve Clarke. It's just a case of, can he continue to maintain those and possibly even increase them a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, if it was me and David Moyes was potentially going to come back into my life again, I think I would be. Only he could sit there and after Poland going 1-0 up against the Netherlands, start saying about how much of a fantastic result it was for Poland to lose 2-1 and that they should be very happy with that result. It was a very typical David Moyes thing to say. And we're sitting here, mate, looking up at that logo in the top corner, Match Bingo. I think you want to do a little plug for them now.
Yeah, just want to point in the direction of Match Bingo, because in the England game against Serbia, I'll tell you about bingo in a second. It's a Spanish bingo, right? Bingo card. They pay out for the first line. A Hammers Chat subscriber, Mo, won it. So a Hammers Chat subscriber won 25 quid on the England game. And then the second line paid out. And there was a Hammers Chat patron, Desmond. He won it. So the two winners in this England-Serbia game, all match bingo, were from Hammers Chat. There's free cards throughout the competition as well. So even if you don't want to deposit any money, you can still get involved. And just add a little bit more excitement to you watching a game which perhaps doesn't involve your country. So you can download the app via the link in the description. It's free to download and free to sign up. And like I said, you do not need to deposit any money in order to play the free games. However, if you want to get a card for the Scotland game or the England game, which has enhanced jackpots, it's £2 per play. So it's a cheap way of just having a little bit more excitement. Essentially, you get 15 things you need to happen in the game. Pays out first line, second line, full house, plus there's a bonus pot as well. For anyone that gets full house, but they weren't the first person to claim it, they'll get a little bit of money too. So it's just adds excitement to what could be a boring game. Hopefully not this one, but match bingo links in the description below. And thank you to anybody who does get involved, because it helps them renew their partnership with us here at Hammers Chat.
Sounds good. I haven't played it yet. I have downloaded the app. I am going to give it a go. So I'm going to give it a try for the first time.
I would always say try the free cards first, just so you get what it's about and stuff, and see how you feel. And then if you're happy and stuff, then you can try one of the paid games. But it's a good way of just adding a little bit of excitement to a game which doesn't perhaps. There's plenty of fixtures in the Euros, right, where you look at and you go, oh, it's not that exciting. So for £2, you can add a bit of excitement.
Yeah, I think today's the perfect example of that. I think we've both watched pretty much every game so far, and Romania-Ukraine doesn't fill me with much enthusiasm. So something like having a little something else to mix it up on that sounds like a good idea. Right, so forgetting Steve Clarke a little bit at the moment and the mistakes that he made in that first game, moving on to the next game that Scotland have against Switzerland, what changes need to be made to that lineup, and what does Geo's starting 11 look like?
I think we need to keep the same formation. It obviously didn't work, but I do think it was regarding mentality and how we played, and it's worked for us in the qualifiers. So I don't want to throw it out the window completely yet. Plus, also Switzerland play three at the back, so it'd be quite a bit of a man-for-man matchup, actually, which can make an intriguing battle. I would keep gunning goal. Didn't do well against Germany. He was at fault for at least a couple of the goals, but he's had some good performances for us. And I think he made a couple of good saves in the game as well, which are overshadowed because of the errors, I would suggest, that he made. The back three, Tierney has to play. Obviously, Proteus is suspended now. I don't want to see Grant Hanley. I understand if Scotland fans watching this will say, no, I want to see. I get it to some extent. I just don't rate him. I've never been a fan of Grant Hanley. I don't want to see him in the team. When he came on, I thought, oh no. And I don't think he covered himself in glory either for in the second half. And that was against the Germany side with the foot off the gas a little bit. So I would bring in Scott McTominay, who, again, I'm not the biggest fan of. But I remember beating Ukraine 3-0, and I think the back three for that game was Tierney, McKenna and Henry, so that's the three I would go with. Robertson's got to play left wing back. He picks himself. Right wing back, Ralston got the nod against Germany. It was a bit of a coin flip between him and McCory, who West Ham fans will know. We played Bristol City and he came off the bench and played against us in that game. But I think Ralston really struggled. So you can either go with him, he's had his game now at this level, so hopefully the second one he'll be a bit calmer, or do you switch it? I think I'd stick with him, given the benefit of the doubt, and say, right, we'll put the first one down to nerves and up against a really good Germany side, so let's just give you another game and see how you fare against the Swiss. And in midfield, Frankie, this is where I think Clarke got it wrong, because it was 5 into 4. We've got 5 really good centre midfielders, attacking midfielders in 4 spaces, and he had to leave one out, and he left out Billy Gilmour, which I think was a really bad decision, because he's not the most adventurous player for West Ham fans. Think of James Ward-Prowse, and he's not going to be creative or anything, but what he does do, he keeps the ball really, really well. And against Germany, we could not do it. We just kept booting it down the middle of the pitch, and it was coming back with us, and we were just crying out for someone in the middle just to get their foot on the ball and just keep it simple for a few minutes and give ourselves a breather. He's got to come in for this one. McGregor was okay against Germany, but he can be better, so I'd stick with him. And the result of not playing Gilmour was that we had to move McTominay into midfield. Our top goal scorer in the qualifiers now playing defensive midfield. And he's a different animal for Scotland when he's given that license to get forward. So McGinn and McTominay sort of in the number 10 roles. When we're defending, they come back in, they make it a 4-5-1. But when we're attacking, they get forward and support the striker. So it's got to be that. And up front, I don't know, Che Adams, Conway, or Shanklin. Which one do you go with? I'm not sure. I maybe give Adams the start. He was on a hiding to nothing against Germany, really, wasn't he? I think I'm intrigued by the curveball of Conway. I think he could be a really good player for us, and he scored against West Ham in the FA Cup. But I think I'd go Che Adams, and that would be my starting 11, Frankie. So just the two changes, one forced, and then Gilmour coming in for Ryan Christie.
Yeah, so different personnel, but it seems like they need a bit of a shifty round positionally wise as well. And I've been a big fan of McTominay in a Scotland shirt. I think he's been fantastic, and I watch him play for Scotland. And just when we were sort of linked with him as a West Ham option from the Scotland games, not so much the Man United games, but the Scotland games, I was very much actually, I think we'd see a very different player than the one you see at Man United, and he's actually got a lot about him. And I was, while people may not have been that excited by him coming to West Ham, I was all for it. I was very much a man. So we didn't see enough of him in the Germany game, so it'll be good to see him sort of being allowed to go forward and, you know, do the things that he does best, really. So it's, I think the last thing you want to do is go into this last game relying on having to win. I want to see you try and make the best of this one. If it was me, and I know there's that just get a point and then roll into, but I hate playing for a point. Yeah. It's all the reasons why I don't like. And even last night, England sitting back and sitting on a 1-0 win, I really don't like it. I'd love to see you go out there and try and get a result and not leave it up to the final game. I think then it adds pressure. It becomes really difficult. And like I say, I've always got belief, and I think you can get one over on the Swiss, although they seem to have had a really good game and won 3-1 against Hungary. Like I say, I just don't think Hungary are that good. I think if you can get in their faces and show some of what you saw in qualifying, I really think you can win. So what is the score prediction from your side, mate? Are you going to back them to get this win, or are you going to sort of play out, get this draw and roll on to the Hungary game?
We've got to go for it. We have to. I think if we draw, I wouldn't take a draw. I'd be happy with one, but I wouldn't take one now. I want to roll the dice. But if we draw and Hungary don't beat Germany, and we beat Hungary, we finish above them with 4 points. That'll be enough to go through. Because of the way the group works, it goes to head. So if we finish on 4 points and Hungary finish on 4 points, as long as we beat them, we'll go above them. Regardless, they could have a 4 goal difference better than us, doesn't matter. So a draw in this game and assuming Hungary don't beat Germany, it becomes a winner takes all against Hungary, and I'm okay with that. That would be exciting. That's where you lick the lips thinking this is going to be just end to end for 90 minutes, 2 teams just going at it, because don't win and you're out, to win and you're through, everything's on the line. But we've both got a game before that, and this one against Switzerland, when I watched Switzerland on Saturday, I was thinking, oh, bloody hell. But bear in mind, we got smashed by Germany Friday night. So it was only, I don't know, 15 hours later or whatever, I'm watching Switzerland here. So it's still raw. But I was watching Switzerland just play Hungary off the park. And the way Akanji and Schär and Rodriguez was sitting there at the back, just holding on the ball, waiting to be pressed. Almost a bit like what Brighton do to some extent. And once you press me, we're just going to zip it into Xhaka, Fuller, who are then going to get it out to Vargas, and it's just, I was watching thinking they're just going to cut us apart here. But the second half, Switzerland just sat back a bit and Hungary up their game enough just to give me a little bit of optimism, thinking, hang on a minute, this Switzerland team are there. We got the crosses coming in from Szoboszlai eventually resulted in a goal, but I was watching that thinking we can do this because we've got Robertson on the left, and if we can get McTominay in the middle in the box, we've got someone to aim at, and we've got somebody who, he got 3 assists in the qualifiers, which I think was the most, or the most might have had 4 or something. But he was up at the top of the assist charts, Robertson. So we're going to be very left-hand side heavy. And I'm okay with that, actually. I think, yeah. I'm going to say 1-1, Frankie. And then it sets 1-1. Us up for a do-or-die game against Hungary, which I'm okay with.
I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to back you to do it.
Yes,
I'm
I
going
like
to
it,
back you to do
Frankie.
it. Yeah, I'm going to back you to do it. And mate, I have been sitting here practicing my catch you in a bit, but I'm not ready for that responsibility yet. So I'm going to hand over to you to sign off.
Well, first of all, a massive thank you to Frankie for hosting. Gonzo had broadband issues this morning, so Frankie stepped in as host at last minute. So big thank you, Frankie. I thought you did really well, actually. That's my job here. Stop it. Like, just make some errors next time or something, or there'll be a call for me to resign. But anyway, thank you to you guys at home for tuning in as well. Make sure you get involved with Match Bingo. But if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Discover your time, chat myself and Frankie. Catch you in a bit.